Right now, New Jersey's Newark International Airport has the most delays in the country, and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is warning things could get worse there as the government shutdown drags on. With air traffic controllers not getting paid, staffing shortages are expected to grow nationwide.
We will delay, we will cancel any kind of flight across the national airspace to make sure people are safe. Safety is the priority. As bad as it is, if the government doesn't open in the next week or two, we'll look back as these were the good days, not the bad days. It's only going to get worse.
Joining me now, New Jersey Democratic Senator Andy Kim. It's good to see you, Senator. I don't need to tell you, we're just weeks from Thanksgiving. I wonder if you're hearing from constituents, what you're telling your constituents who, A, are wondering if they're going to get where they need to go on Thanksgiving, but also, is it safe to fly?
Yeah, this is something that's a real concern right now because, so many people are planning their vacations, their family trips, but just on a day-to-day level, they want to know that the government is taking steps that are going to keep them safe, going to be able to help them live their best lives. And right now, what they see with this Trump administration, look, we've been having problems and delays at Newark Airport all year. We've seen this administration continuing to cut staffing at the FAA over and over and over again. And these types of things that are compiling, and we're seeing right now this administration again standing in the way of us being able to find bipartisan solutions to this. I support a Republican Senator Hawley's legislation that would fund SNAP, that would also have legislation that would put forward that would help us pay our FAA air traffic controllers and other public servants. But the problem is that the House of Representatives is not in session. They are refusing to negotiate with us and get these pieces of legislation moved forward so we can pay our public servants and keep ourselves safe.
Well, we're going to get to SNAP in a minute because it's obviously really important. But today, Secretary Duffy told CNBC that if the situation gets bad enough, he'll just shut the entire airspace down. Do you have a realistic hope that this shutdown ends before we reach that point?
Well, we're certainly trying to find a solution. And like I said, we can solve this by pushing forward on the legislation. We have bipartisan negotiations in the Senate right now that are about paying all of our public servants. And that is something that I hope we can find agreement on in the next, frankly, within this next few days. But the problem is again, when the House of Representatives is not even here, if we pass something through the Senate, we can't even get it past the House of Representatives. So we're calling on Speaker Johnson, get the House of Representatives back into session so we can do our jobs and we can help pay the public servants that are doing their jobs rather than what we're seeing, which is a paid vacation for these House Republicans right now.
Let me ask you about the breaking news. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear it or see it. It just happened 10 or 15 minutes ago. But the administration just confirmed it will use a contingency fund to make partial payments to Americans who rely on SNAP food benefits. But I also want to play what Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins said about that fund.
A smaller contingency fund, it won't even cover about half of what November would cost. So we are working and looking at all angles right now. The president has been very clear. He wants us to do everything we can to make sure that we can keep these benefits going.
Well, Senator, there are, I think, 827,000 New Jersey residents who depend on SNAP. What's the plan when the fund runs out?
Well, first of all, it shouldn't have taken this administration this long to be able to move forward. The fact that it required federal judges to basically drag this president to the point where he can pay and be able to provide some food assistance while he's throwing, Gatsby parties at Mar-a-Lago, that is something that people found so offensive in New Jersey this past weekend in terms of that contrast. But look, we need to move forward on this. As I said, there is bipartisan legislation that I support that could get this done, be able to fully fund SNAP. But again, we should be able to move forward. The president has the ability to draw from other sources of funding to be able to fill the rest of the gap, and we should compel him to be able to do that and make sure that we're not weaponizing hunger for the president's personal vendettas, which is what he has been doing. I'll keep in mind, all of us, that this president led a reconciliation bill that gutted nearly $200 billion from SNAP earlier this year. So this is clearly a president that doesn't care about whether or not people are going hungry. In fact, they've been pushing in that direction already. So it's going to require the American people and all of us to be able to compel this president to take the necessary action to keep people from going hungry.
There's a bunch of new polls out today. I want to ask you particularly about something in the Washington Post poll, which wasn't good for the president, but also 68% of Americans said they feel the Democratic Party is out of touch with the concerns of most people in the country today, even though the number was 7% lower for Republicans. What do you say to folks? Where's the disconnect?
Yeah, well, a lot of it comes from just the fact that people see politics as some exclusive club for the well-off and the well-connected. I mean, I see it in my own state. 84% of people in New Jersey believe that their elected officials are corrupt. That number is in the 70s across our entire country. There is a real sense that our politics isn't working. And honestly, it's not. I don't see how you can look at what's happening right now and think that things are working fine in our democracy. So, yes, we need a change.
So how do you get it working, Senator?
I've been pushing hard. Yeah, I've been pushing hard to really try to show that we need to take steps that are fighting against the corruption that we see within our politics. And you see it, up front and close when it comes to the president, literally profiteering off of the Oval Office. We see it with the cheating that is happening by the Republicans trying to push this midterm gerrymandering that they're doing across the board.
But this is a poll that also lays blame on the Democrats.
Well, it lays blame across our politics. Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly why I stood up to be able to take on these problems in my home state as well as across the country. But right now, yes, they want to make sure that we are taking steps that are focused on them, trying to lower costs, something that the president promised he would do. But instead, in New Jersey, we're seeing a 174% increase in health care costs when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. And why is that happening? It's because he's been giving these tax cuts to the billionaires. People are seeing that, and that's why they don't think our politics are working. And that's why they're holding it over the heads of everybody, because, yes, we need to be doing better. And I hope that we can really take steps right now to show that we're moving in a different direction. And I'll do everything I can to compel the Democrats to do that with greater urgency and greater haste, especially taking on this anti-corruption message, which I know is connecting with people all over this country.
Democratic Senator Andy Kim of New Jersey, thank you.